Hello good people. Whilst there's a great big hard disk copy going down the shed, I'll just take time out. This is the most asked for thing in my repertoire, so I mean I don't do tab music or any of that stuff. All I can do is show you how I play it, but it's two things. It starts with Blind Willie Johnson. Well, I can't keep from crying sometime. I cannot keep from crying sometime. While my heart's full of sorrow and my eyes are full of tears, I cannot keep from crying sometime. Except that he plays it with slide, of course, and in fact, although he implies that so Kappa 3, what we're in G, right? So, but using E shapes, so he basically more or less plays it on one chord, but and he wrote it, so of course he can do what he likes. However, he implies both the dominant and the subdominant chords. So if you were playing in E, then it would be E, A's and B's, or here in G using the E shapes, G's, C's and D's. That's all, and he plays bits of slide as well. So, but that's where the song comes from, Blind Willie Johnson. And then of course my introduction to all of this was David Graham album, Folk Blues and Beyond, 1964, when I retired to my bedroom with my old Tatra guitar. I don't have that guitar, obviously. I will bring it out when I finally do an online gig, which I will do sometime in about 2 weeks' time. I'll drag the one I've actually got, which I found in a junk shop, out just to show it to people and so on. But anyway, so I learnt all of these songs, and indeed the names of some of the bluesmen from Folk Blues and Beyond. You know, it's the musical Bible. And of course over the years I have adapted the song and heard many people doing it, and so it's ended up the way it is. But there was a point at which there's a little tune of mine called Mr. Maze, which I knocked up after the privilege of spending 70 odd nights on the road with Ralph McTell and listening night after night to that immaculate, beautiful guitar playing, and especially the ragtimey stuff and the blues stuff and all the rest of it. And I knocked up this little tune. And then for no apparent reason I started running it into Can I keep from crying sometimes? Can I keep from crying sometimes? 'Cause my heart's full of sorrow and my eyes they're full of tears. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. So that's how it evolved. Purely as a matter of interest, there are actually 3 parts to that tune. I never play the other 2 parts, but I have a recording of it, and that will appear on disc 2 of the box set, which will be the instrumentals. But got to finish disc 1 first. Old songs, mostly trad. So yeah, I just joined these 2 things together basically, and then everything else to do with the main song and the accompaniment is good old improvisation within a framework. The basics are obvious. You could stay on A minor. Can I keep from crying sometimes? Can I keep from crying sometimes? 'Cause my heart's full of sorrow and my eyes they're full of tears. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. And then, just to make it more interesting, there's all the usual sort of movements, minor thirds. Can I keep from crying sometimes? Can I keep from crying sometimes? And then punctuated with a few riffs. They've tended to standardise over the time. I mean, the ones that one recurs all the time. that come from? Haha! Well, it's obvious, isn't it? Yeah, he's one of my Fleetwood Mac. He's one of my favourite guitar players. The master of the one-note guitar solo. When everyone else is doing that, he can play like what's an entire solo just on one note and make it mean more as well. You know, but that's the way it goes. Yeah. That's another thing that I first ever heard. I'm sure I know George Benson was around at that time, who spends up his life playing all that octave stuff beautifully. But Davey plays quite a lot of it, and so that's where I first heard it. And it took me years to figure out what was actually going on, you know. But I've eventually figured it out. And of course, originally I would have played it with the plectrum, you know. I would have, cannot keep from crying sometimes. I would have played it like that. It took me years to actually figure out how to do anything sort of a bit more reasonable with this hand, but no, that's the way it goes. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. Cannot keep from crying sometimes, 'cause my heart's full of sorrow and my eyes they're full of tears. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. I said when she first left me, I get on a little while, soon it would be all over and I'd journey with a smile. But my thoughts as I get older, I dream of what I told her. I'll have to keep from crying sometime. And so on. And then obviously the tune is played in rhythm in the middle as a solo. So and then of course cannot keep from crying sometimes. I cannot keep from crying sometimes, 'cause my heart's full of sorrow and my eyes they're full of tears. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. I cannot keep from crying sometimes. Cannot keep from crying. Hope that helps.